All right,
Okay,
we're back.
welcome back, episode 3.
Yep.
Baked bananas.
It's going to be a great one.
Like every episode, we've just been thrown into it. We've got absolutely no idea where this is going to go. Now, and we do have a third camera on the go,
Yep.
thanks to our main man Scott at the recording studio.
We're also we're trying a different mic setup, so
Yeah,
hopefully it's going to be just as clear, but maybe free up a bit of the room in front of both of our beautiful faces for a little bit.
That's right. That's right. As you can see, I've got my new beard going on,
Yep.
and you've seen the beard grow over the last episode because there's been a bit of a gap.
I can't grow a beard. That's just me.
You know what I got asked the other day? It was really, I kind of took offense to it. Someone went, "Have you dyed your beard?" And I'm like, "Am I at that age where I have to dye my beard?"
Why?
Because it's black. It's just like, look at that.
But it doesn't look like artificially black.
I know. It's I kind of walked away. I was like, "Do I have to like?"
Were they
do I have to-"
old? Was it an old person that asked you?
No, not really.
'Cause I was going to say maybe they're trying to G you up for
Yeah.
what do you
well,
use?
Yeah. Let me help.
What's the colour? Jet black or piano black?
Yeah.
Which one?
So I was like, I don't know if I take offense to that or not.
Nah, that's a compliment for sure.
Yeah.
A bit backhanded, but
Because
still.
my hair's brown, right?
Yeah.
But this is black.
Ah, look,
I don't know where it comes from in the family.
here's what it is, man. That's it.
There's some hectic albumness somewhere.
I
deep in there.
got some highlights and shit in my get up, and that's purely because Dakota's a hairdresser.
You know what? The other day, you know what I found the other day? I found a grey hair
Wow. Where?
in here.
Oh, in there.
In here. Yeah, and I had to like pull that bad boy out because I was like, and having that.
Maybe they were trying to tell you that you should be dyeing it because they could see, like.
Well, no, because I assessed the damage in the morning and I was like, no, that's black hair.
Isn't it wild how one person can say something
And it
like
just can
so
put-
so trivial in passing, like you dye your beard? Nah, cool. Anyways, on with my day.
And the rest of the day, I was just shook.
Just
I
rattled,
was
man.
like,
Just
oh.
absolutely gone. Like,
And it wasn't like that they didn't like quite believe me. I was like, no, they're like, are you sure? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, fucking, I haven't.
oh,
like,
now that you mention it, no, I'm not sure.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
while I'm
And I'm
asleep,
like,
just,
I'm like,
you know,
should I dye it with a little bit of like brown in there?
just tell them yes. Just be like, bro,
to match it.
spray paint.
To
You
match
know what I do?
Yeah.
Get a can of fiddly bits in the morning and just just touch it up on my way. Start my day.
That's what I hate about like haircuts because it's like when you buy a brand new car.
You're
right?
literally talking to the wrong person.
No,
about
no.
haircuts,
Yeah,
'cause
hold
I haven't had one in years.
No, because haircuts are like buying a brand new car.
How so?
Okay, so the car only looks the best when it's sitting on the showroom floor. It never looks that good ever again,
100%.
right? And a haircut is
100%.
exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And it only lasts about, I don't know, a day.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say
and
3
the
if
next
you're
day
lucky.
you just have that little bit of
Yeah,
something.
little bit of something
and you're
going
like, there's
on.
no fucking way my hair
It's
grew
not
that
sitting
far.
the same way.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, how did you get it that way?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I understand how people go to the barbers like
Yeah, well,
way more regularly.
yeah, I mean, shit, when I was going, it was like at least once every 3 weeks.
And that shit's
And
expensive.
I got a lot of hair. That's my problem, is like, not now because it's long, like it's thick. I like,
yeah.
I physically have like a large sum of hair.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm balding over here.
Oh, it's not that bad. Come on. No.
Fucking hell, I'm gonna be just like my dad in fucking 5 years' time.
Thanks, Kerry.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. He doesn't even watch this. He's not gonna matter anyway.
Oh, my dad did watch it.
Oh, he did watch it.
Yeah.
So does that mean we have to be on our best behaviour?
No, that's all
I'm-
good.
We're so gonna dip you in the shit.
Oh, but you know, it's actually. Oh, well, touching on last episode, Dad's surgery.
Oh yeah.
It's gone well.
It's gone well.
really well.
That's good.
He's on the mend. He's actually he told me that he walked into the surgeons the other day, and the surgeon was like, "Hey, look at this guy.
Sit down.
Look at this guy walking around and shit, on his new knee. Look at you go, big fella." But
That's good. That's really good.
yeah, I think like, you know, it's funny. I was thinking the other day because I was over at his place and just having a yarn, catching up, and one thing that I love, and I know that you get this as much as I do, is like the older you get, your parents just start to feel that little bit more comfortable telling you some like red hot shit that they used to do.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
hear, it's almost like there's a threshold. It's like
Yeah.
for your entire life you're this little kid and your parents are your parents. And then one day
They do no wrong.
Yeah. And then one
Yeah.
day you're like at your 21st birthday and your dad's a few bourbons deep and he's like, "I stole a car once."
Yeah,
And you're like,
yeah,
"What?
yeah.
What are you?" Not saying my dad did.
Yeah.
And if he has, he hasn't told me about it. But like,
Yeah.
there's those family get-togethers as well.
Yeah.
Like when you go down for a family Chrissy, because Christmas is coming up, and like everyone hits the sauce, and next thing you know, it's like, "Oh, remember back in '83 when we bloody jumped off the train while it was moving?" And you sit there and you're like, you'd crucify me if I did that today. It's like, you bastard hypocrite.
And I want to share, like, talking about, like, dads and stuff like that. I want to talk about, I was thinking about this the other day, about fond memories that I have with my father that are really red hot.
Oh, yeah.
And you start to notice as you grow older that you have certain personality traits that,
Because of your parents.
you know.
Oh, dude.
So when you're growing up, you're like, my dad's I'm
Yeah.
not nowhere. Like,
I'm
not like
me.
him.
I'm not him.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
no way, man.
Yeah.
You know, DNA test. You know, and
Well, I'm the same as... I am a miniature version of my dad.
and I knew when I got my license, I have a bit of a weak spot for road rage.
Yeah.
I love road rage. And I just love telling someone to fuck off.
There's a
in the
great
car.
video, if I can find it, that we could upload.
Oh,
It's just-
absolutely.
That would
Absolutely.
just demonstrate your talent with road rage,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, and it's funny because I remember growing up, just watching my dad do really red hot shit in the car, and it wasn't like dangerous, but it was just. Now I look back and I'm like, that's quite funny. And there's this one story in particular, and I would have been no older than, I reckon, 7, and I was still in New Zealand, and Dad was driving his workman, and he's like flew out of the Bunnings car park, you know.
100 mile an hour.
Not wearing a seatbelt.
No indicator either.
Yeah, just like
it's
red hot. And there's a cop like there, and
Oh,
he goes,
man.
he's like, whoops, and just like pretends to throw his seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, won't tell mum about that one.
No.
And it stuck with me. It was
Yeah.
really funny. And then there's another time, and this is where I really understand where I get it from. I won't go too much in detail because I don't know how comfortable my dad is telling the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. We had some neighbours in New Zealand that we didn't quite like.
Didn't get along with.
Yeah.
Not the...
You know, neighbours from hell, per se.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I remember we were all in the car and we were driving down the main road in New Zealand, but we were in a different car. I think maybe Dad had got a new company car, or maybe we had just got a new family car. It was one of the two.
Yep.
And anyway, we saw the neighbours coming the other way. And so my dad just went for it. Like, he window down. I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves correctly, he threw something at the car coming the other way.
There you go.
But he was just like, fuck you, like
Just
full noise, you know.
Proper raging.
And I just thought that is hilarious because I've done very similar things in my
Yeah.
in my driving.
Yeah.
I've calmed down a lot, but it's
You
funny
do.
just, you know.
You pick your battles. I think that's what it is. You learn sort of... Sometimes there's a time and a place. I mean, in all honesty, sometimes it takes over and the time and the place become the right time and place.
And it's like my mum, she admitted to dining and dashing.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
So when she was like, I mean, she was young, but she was like, yeah, we were, and I never let the story slip. I was like,
Yeah.
always hold on to it. I was like, remember that time you dined and dashed? Every time we go out for dinner, I'm like, oh, mum, leg it.
you going to pay for this one this time or
Yeah,
what?
what's happening tonight, mum? You know, it's like, I see you eating pretty light there. What are you
Yeah.
doing? You know, not filling up on that casserole. You know, keeping those.
Got your TNs
Yeah,
ready to
what
go.
food you got on today, ma? You know, we're just real funny shit like that. And that leads me to the next topic, and we're definitely going to talk
I
about.
know exactly where this is
We're going to
going.
talk about your mum
Yeah.
and a story that happened that led to one of the best laughter.
That's my favourite story ever.
Oh, it's golden.
It's like, it's one of those fond memories where you can actually, because you were there. So it's
Oh, yeah.
like great memory between you and I, but also as a family, like everybody
Yeah.
hangs shit on it for this one story.
And, yeah, and
And you know what's funny is when I was talking about we're doing the podcast and everything, and I was like, oh, you know what I should do? Like, just was like, we should do like a Mother's Day special if we're still doing it, which we probably will be. Let's be real.
yeah, I think so.
I'm enjoying
Right,
this.
yeah.
Do a Mother's Day special, get the mums on, and she was like, "Oh, great. Well, you can bring up this story. We'll beat you to
So
it."
yeah, Sally, you put your foot in it because I'm about to tell it right now.
I've taken that as a green light that it can go on, and
So let's talk about it. So we were at your place drinking on
Yep.
an evening.
yep,
And
where all
we-
our good stories
I
start.
think we're 18, 19. We're young.
Legal drinking age in Australia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we had done typical Sam and Jack special, and we got, you know, a case of beer and a bottle of spirit.
Yeah.
And we were at Sam's place, sitting by the pool on, I presume it would be a Friday or Saturday
I think it
afternoon.
was a Friday.
Anyway, and we were just drinking. just drinking, and we got drunk like we normally do.
As we do. I think the game was always like just finish the case and
Finish
see
the
what happens
case to
to
see
the
what,
bottle.
yeah, you know, and go for a swim and try not to drown. It's something similar.
Really healthy as, you know, diabetics and intoxicated people.
And I remember the next morning, we woke up hungover as piss,
Oh,
and we were sitting in the lounge,
yeah. And then mum...
and it was late. It was like 11 o'clock because we had just pissed and
We'd
went
only
away.
just woken up at
Yeah.
that point. I think, like, you know, still knocking the dust out of our eyes, just getting ready to face the hangover.
Mm.
And I still remember mum just strutting in, you know.
She had the
just
confidence,
coming
eh?
in. It was like she just busted you doing something you shouldn't have. And you
Yeah.
could see it too. And we're like, she walks in, she's like, so, have a good night?
Yeah, yeah. We're like, so we're both looking at
We're
it.
sitting inside with sunglasses on, just like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Really-
we're like, yeah, no, we had fun.
What a
Right?
really fun
She
time.
goes, "You boys got something to tell me?"
Yeah.
What?
And we're looking at each other as confused as ever. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And then what?
oh, and the next question, who had it?
That's right. She goes,
Yeah.
"Who had it?" And we were both like, "Had what?"
Yeah, and at this point, the gears are turning, and I'm like, you motherfucker, you had something. And
You had something
and
that
you
I didn't have.
share it.
Yeah.
How dare you?
And I'm doing exactly the same thing back to him. So I'm going, "What
What'd you have?"
Would you have?" And Sally's like, "Cut the shit.
Yeah, come on.
Cut the shit."
Who was it?
You know? Yeah.
You're caught.
Yeah.
We're
She
like-
goes, and we're like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "The weed."
Yeah.
And I was like, "The weed?"
The
She
weed.
goes, "Yes.
Yeah.
The weed. I found it." And I'm going, "Fuck, you found weed?"
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn, we could have got stoned last night. That would have been the tits."
That would be great.
You know?
Yeah, that would have really
I
topped
would
off
have,
the
yeah,
night.
instead of having this chaotic hangover after 55,000 beers.
I'd be hungover and full of munchies
Exactly.
instead.
And she goes, "I found it."
Yeah, and it got to the point where we were like, hang on.
Something ain't right
We
here.
need a bit more clarity here because, like, number one, hungover to the hilt. 1 and 1 did not equal 2 for us, as it was.
Someone's found drugs that we didn't know about.
That we could have had, apparently. Allegedly, we did have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. At this point, we were convicted.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, shit, did we get that blackout drunk that we ended up getting someone to bring drugs to the house? Like,
And smoke it and not put it away.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
so many red
Oh,
flags.
it was just like so many open ends, and she's like, all right then, I'll show you.
Yeah, come with me, head high.
Yeah.
Just, you know, and I thought, all right, fuck, we're on here.
Let's go.
And at this point, I'm not even nervous that I'm in trouble. I'm actually curious
Just
to see
curious
what
to
she's
see
found.
what's going on.
I was like, she's found something. Let's go. So we're going for a walk. And we go. Now, Sam's old property, this would be like an outdoor patio. It was all kind of concrete paved. And it was
Yeah.
nice little, little
Nice little
section.
undercover area.
Yeah, there was kind of like, you know, some beams that had like little light fittings.
Oh
on
yeah,
them.
yeah. Some you know outdoor lights and things. And
Yeah.
There was a fridge,
There
as,
was yeah.
as every good Aussie home has, a beer fridge outside.
Exactly.
Right
And-
by the pool.
So we walk out and she points onto the ground,
Yeah.
right? And it was
Oh, bear in mind though, where she's pointed is like the complete opposite end of where we'd been operating all night. We were down at the end by
Yeah.
the pool, and this was like right over near the wall, right next to the house. Which, I mean, not the first
basically,
choice to do.
it's a really weird spot to do drugs.
Oddly specific,
Yeah.
like really, really specific.
Yeah. And she points to these things on the ground, and she goes, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so Sam and I are putting the pieces together quite
Bit
quickly.
of deductive
And it
reasoning going on.
It definitely didn't look like marijuana that I'd ever seen.
No, it was really bright green.
It was bright green,
like
quite
clumped
condensed
together balls.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of it.
No.
And I thought, well, that's a bit of an odd request.
Which is probably why she thought we had it, because, you know,
Yeah.
if we did, we probably would have consumed it all,
Yeah.
smoked it all, and there would
And
have
so
been crumbs left.
we're both completely hungover, and we're annihilated. We're looking at this story, and we're putting the pieces together
Yeah.
quite quickly.
Really like a sober person would,
Yeah.
really.
So we're going, okay, so there's droppings on the floor.
Yeah.
There's a light fixture, which also contains droppings.
The same things.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're outdoors where there are a lot of birds.
Birds, animals of such.
And fuck, what she said next
Oh, well, I remember
had me in stitches.
I remember you looking at me and like, we're sitting there doing the full like just up and down, just okay, stuff on the floor, same stuff up there, probably come from up
From
there.
up there,
just a few
something that's
sticks.
moved.
Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
look, there's a feather up there.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you looked at me and you're like, wait, should I tell her or
You
or
want to tell her,
And
yeah.
I was like, I got this. I'll let her know. And like, I just remember looking at her and being like, Mum, it's not weed. It's not marijuana. That's bird poo. and she was like, it went from walking through the house like this,
Just
to,
the fuck.
what are you talking about? Bird poo. And like, we're sitting there and, you know, as two drunken idiots, we're sitting there going, it's on the floor under the light and there's a feather up there. I'm like, makes sense that it'd be bird poo if it was anything.
That's right.
And, yeah, the next things that came out of her mouth are probably, I'd say probably some of her most regretted words, because it's the things that get brought
I
up
will
the
never
most.
forget what she said next. And ladies and gentlemen, what she said next was,
Oh, it started with, it is, because I know what it smells like.
yeah, no, I know what it smells like.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
And we were just like, it ain't it.
Yeah,
It's
and
not.
she goes, it is. And I said, how do you know? And she goes, I tasted it. So you can imagine, we're both woken up on a Saturday morning, dusty, and within half an hour, I found out my best mate's mum's eating bird shit.
Yeah.
Without any encouragement whatsoever.
On her own-
no one's told
on her own
her.
devices.
Just gone, that's weed. Oh, this.
Yeah, I
and
can,
ate
I can
it.
picture it now, like Mum skulking through, seeing it and being like, picking it up and doing the whole, like, oh, I've fucking got him.
Who eats weed like that? Like, it's just so funny. And I just like, there's no way that that's true. And I said,
Which is, you know, the even funnier part is I know for a fact that my mum wouldn't know what it's like because she doesn't do any of that. I think she
Yeah.
says she's had it once when she was like a teenager and it wasn't an enjoyable experience and that was it. So what she's working off is a patched together memory from like, you know,
what she thinks it is.
30 years ago. And then she's picked it up and gone, bingo, that's it.
That's weed.
That's the stuff.
I feel funny, my stomach hurts. Yeah, no shit, you ate bird shit.
So I just, man, I remember we were on the floor, like
Howling.
cackling,
Howling.
tears were rolling,
And
for
she
the-
was just standing in the kitchen, defeated.
Oh man, because like without even trying, we'd completely diffused the whole situation. And like, remember the first episode we were talking about us drinking in the bedroom,
Yeah.
right? And she tried to bust us on that too. She
Oh, yeah.
nearly did.
Yeah,
She-
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
she was like,
Yeah.
"What were you drinking last night?" And I was like, "Coke." She's like, "What was in it?" I'm like, "Coca-Cola."
Yeah,
If we're
yeah.
going to be specific. She's like, "I smelt the cups. I went through Jack's bag." And in my
Yeah,
head, I'm
we
going,
had it all stashed
I was like,
away.
"It's in the wardrobe. It's not in Jack's bag."
Yeah, well, you ain't far enough.
Like, that's a bit rude going through his belongings like that, Mum. Huh?
And I'm
yeah.
sitting in the kitchen going, there's nothing in my bag.
Oh man, and yeah, in this one moment, she'd gone from just absolute cloud nine to utter defeat, and for like a week after that, I remember we just
G'day, shit lips,
we
what's
called her
going on?
shit lips for ages, and like, okay, we probably took it a little bit far.
It was funny, though.
As we do, but it was hilarious at the time. And I tell you what, though, credit to Mum. She copped it on the chin and she rolled with it like a
And she
champ.
did,
And
yeah.
every time that story comes up, she'll do the typical like, crap, here we go again. But she's never been like, no, don't tell this. This is
No, and
embarrassing.
in fact, she's the one that brought it up to you to put onto this show.
Exactly. That's
Right,
what I
which is
mean.
pretty
Mum,
cool.
Mum has just taken it in her stride as one of the unfortunate moments that we were around for. But
Okay.
I'm sure you've probably got one that you're itching to
I
tell
was
about
going to
your
say,
folks as well.
I feel like it's only fair. So what I'm going to do here is I'm
Has,
going
has
to...
your mum eaten anything?
No,
She shouldn't.
but my mum's ran into a pole. And...
Like a stationary pole or a moving
yeah, no, stationary. Okay.
Oh,
Now...
shit. Hang on. Like driving, walking,
Okay, no, it's all right.
running.
I was so young that I was still small enough to be put inside the little child seat in a trolley.
Oh,
That young.
okay, righto. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oh,
So I'm in New Zealand,
oh no.
and same kind of thing. It's like a Woolworths. They call it something else. I can't remember what they call it. And it was, Mum was, I remember, because obviously when you're in a child seat, you're facing your
Yeah,
parent.
that's your whole view.
Right,
Yeah.
so you're just like looking at Mum walking
Yeah.
in shit, right? So Mum's walking along,
Oh, man.
and I'm not talking like a small pillar. Like this pillar, you can't put your arms around it. It's huge.
Oh, so
Big,
like a main support for the building.
Infrastructure, like big pillar. Thing's been there for years, bro. Never
Since the
left.
beginning.
Yeah, right. And I don't know. She's tried to tell me that. Oh well, you know,
It
I
jumped
was-
out at me.
something. No, like something distracted her. So she's just fucking walking along and just fucking full smack on the head. Oh, in no fucking way. And she was like asking her Neil infant son. This is like one of my first memories. Am I bleeding?
Has mummy got a boo boo?
And I just remember.
Oh, is it full on like Harry Potter, like platform 9 3/4 going through that brick wall? But
Yeah.
when it's turned off and they run full tilt at it with the trolley,
It
and
was
just,
there was some force behind it, and I was just like, "You just ran into a pole, like you're my mother," you know.
man.
So look, to Sally and my mum,
yeah.
we're sorry. We do love you.
At least this is out now. You don't have to worry. Like,
Yeah, you know.
it's done.
Yeah, you know, and like Sam and I are perfect. We've never made any mistakes so-
Ever. Not a
But
single one.
that's why we've got to talk about.
We've
it.
learned lots of lessons.
Yes,
And never made a mistake.
never made a mistake.
Maybe some poorly timed decisions, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I think I just remember laughing quite a lot at that. Like I was chuckling.
Yeah.
As a kid, like that's funny, you know. Like
Oh, and that kind of comedy isn't it?
It
Just
is,
watching
isn't it?
people get hurt, like whether it's serious or not. Like you see someone stumble down a set of stairs, you're like, oh,
dude, I just thought of the best one. Do you remember? Okay, Australia Day. Okay, now Australia Day, we're down by Currumbin, right? And there was
What, this Australia Day just gone?
just been. We were down at Currumbin.
Or this year, I should
We're
say.
at the beach.
Yeah.
And there was a father sitting in the water. Okay? And he was sitting there. Now you picture it. He's got his big Australia Day hat on.
I'm trying
He's
to
got a
remember
beer.
what
You'll know it. He had his beer in his hand, right? And his kids were running around playing. Okay? And his kid was running, right? And the place was quiet. It was quite a like peaceful afternoon.
Yeah.
Be quiet. And the kid's running, and he's running through like a foot of water.
Oh,
And his foot got stuck in the sand, and he fucking scorpion,
Oh,
and his
dude.
face slapped the fucking sand.
the
It was just
noise.
like,
I remember exactly the kid too. He was a little terrorist that was running around the beach,
Yeah.
just running amok. And yeah, he absolutely ate the beach. And,
And-
the dad,
he just goes, ha ha, just laughs straight at his kid.
oh man.
But that was it, no content. He just
Nah.
fucked off and kept on going.
Yeah.
So that style of comedy is forever always going to be.
It's hilarious, man.
It's always going to be there.
And you know what? I'm anticipating us having moments like that.
Well, we've got
as
plenty
we
of
get a
moments
bit
like that.
older. I mean, you got bad ankles as it is.
Yeah.
That's a.
Yeah. yeah.
Do we go down that rabbit hole of bad decisions?
Nah.
No.
Not yet. We'll get to that.
Not yet.
Because injuries is a big one because you've got a few as well.
Oh yeah, I got a couple.
You know, like that time you decided to fucking use your body as sandpaper down fucking Gavin Ontario Road as on your skateboard.
Yeah.
That was a chronic.
I was
one.
just talking about this weekend was concussions. I was
Yeah.
telling Dad. Dad didn't know about my big one in surfers when I come off the skate.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, we were skateboarding, and then I woke up on the beach."
Yeah.
And
And
he's
you
like,
spilled your slushy and you're all
I
pissed
didn't
off.
spill it. I yeeted it. It
Yeah.
was gone.
Yeah, you did.
And yeah, it was actually like one of those moments where he was like, Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, hang on a minute. You've told me plenty of stories where I've said, are you serious? And he's like, mate, that's not good. And I'm like, no, it
I
wasn't.
think from what I was reading once, I think you can have 3 big hits to the head in your
you
life
got a couple before you get that CTE or
before you get
whatever.
the,
Yeah, like starts doing some irreversible
those
damage.
ones.
That's hectic. You know,
I
my
told you I was
nan-
gonna turn it up
You know,
tonight.
my nan's got Parkinson's.
Don't
And-
say that.
No, because like mum, absolutely rolls with it. I don't know if she's actually got like properly diagnosed Parkinson's, but she's got the shakes.
Okay.
And like
Well, I get-
she'll be cooking every now and then, and you know, just me being the absolute dickhead that I am, I'll be like, oh, fucking slow down stirring that thing. Or you know, like she'll be asked to sign something, and you can just see like the level of concentration. And I'm like, make sure it's your name.
Yeah, you
Like
got
that.
it. You got one opportunity. Here we
Go
go. Yeah.
I mean, she uses that to her advantage. She'll get us to do something. She's like, oh,
You know what I'll talk about, and I think just coming back to what we talk about with our grandiose stories, and this is something that I've witnessed firsthand the last couple of weeks, is I live in a very populated area that a lot of schoolies tend to
oh man,
go to. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're smart, you'll know where that is. Now, but
Oh, we can say like Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold Coast. I don't know
Gold
why
Coast.
I'm paranoid about where I live.
It's
but
not like
anyway.
anyone's going to need to know that you live at this address. 123 Fake Street.
Yeah. No, but this is what I worked out, right? It's crazy to see because it's been 10 years since we left school. Okay?
Exactly,
It's been
yeah.
10 years.
Actually, bang on.
And what is really mental is the schoolies, the kids that are going this year.
They're not the
I'm
kids.
sorry, but they're pussies because they don't know how to throw down. Now, when I say this, we were always respectful. We were always respectful to people around us.
100%. Yep.
But like, we knew why we were going to schoolies. To drink,
Yeah.
To do-
Copious amounts of
right?
piss. And
to
like,
party,
just
to party,
to make bad
It
decisions.
was like your
the
summer
whole week.
break, and what I worked out, and my girlfriend said this to me. She goes, "It was the day after the first night of schoolies,
Yeah. Which is always
which
like
is always normally the biggest."
first night fever hits hard, especially at that age. Like, you know, it's like going out and doing anything. The first night of it's always, I'm going to put 10% in.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the next day you wake up and you're like, oh,
Max return on investment. Let's go. You know, penny stock. Let's pump and dump it.
yeah.
And what I noticed is we went out. I think we're at this point. We're doing adulting things. We're going out and buying groceries, whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said to her, I said, "There's all these people everywhere, and it's like 10 in the morning."
Yeah.
I said, "Mate, schoolies, like, I'd be with the curtains shut on my like
Yeah.
19th beer for the morning."
Yeah, yeah.
And so then I got the opportunity to actually speak with some of the schoolie kids.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
What, you just went up and...
Well, no, because they stay in the apartment that I'm living at.
Oh, true. Because
Right?
you look like... you're not too far.
Right.
That makes sense.
In the middle of it.
Okay.
And it was weird.
So you just bump into them in like the
the
lobby.
lifts and the
in
the
right.
parking garages and whatnot, and the guy was like, I was like, "Hey boys, how you going?" And
Yeah. I can imagine you walk in, you'd be charged, you'd be like, "Oi lads, tell me some
right?
red hot shit. What's
Right?
been going
That's
on?"
what- That's what I was like. I was like, what's it been like, boys?"
Yeah.
You know, and I said, "Oh, you boys on the piss or what?" You
Yeah.
know, and the boys are like, "Oh no, not really. You know, we actually ran out of booze and yeah, we just had a few last night." And I was like, "Oh, did you go to the beach party?" They're like, "No, we just stayed in." And I'm like,
What?
so I'm like telling them about their impending future.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, just letting you know, on the other side of this fuck base
Tragic.
is death, taxes, and jobs.
Tragic.
So you might want to fucking live it up."
Yeah,
And
you
then
gotta-
one of the boys was like, "Oh, he's right, eh?"
Yeah.
And then you just see them start problem solving. Like,
Yeah.
how do we get more booze? How do we get more booze?
You're standing
And
in
of
the lift
course,
and you're like, "Hey,
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
didn't supply
I
them."
didn't supply, but I told them how they could. So, but yeah, it's really interesting. And what I generally think's happened is when Schoolies was advertised to us, it was kind of promoted as that spring break
Oh yeah.
heavily,
Just let
and,
loose for an entire week. Make
and
as
we
many
knew that
mistakes
we
as
knew
you
it was
want.
debauchery. We knew
Yeah.
it was just straight
knew what you're going in
debauchery.
for.
We knew that it wasn't going to be like, "Hey, let's go to church." Like it
Yeah.
was going to be cranked up to a
Yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah.
But I think what's happened is the schools and the schoolies and the whole organisation of it all have like made it such a commercial event that there can't be any fuck ups.
Oh, it's too corporate, you reckon?
It's too like corporate, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when one of the boys said to me, they're like, he was like almost too respectful.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey sir, how are you today?" And I'm like, "You just fucking call me sir?" Like, and so I'm like, "Oh, what school did you go
With all
to?"
those grey hairs, you know. you're
Yeah,
like-
and they're like, "Oh, I went to school here," and I was like, "Did your principal tell you to say that?" Like,
yeah.
I was like, "Boys, like, live it up a little bit,
Yeah.
like, you know, be a sir." Now, I'm not saying like be a dick,
Go be an absolute, menace to society.
but I think you know, like,
Turn it up a bit.
turn it up a little bit,
Little
man.
bit.
just a little bit.
I mean, like, God, I could.
You know,
I
if
could
you're
whip out
not-
a handful of stories from our week.
Yeah.
I mean, you went blind in one eye.
And then I had to do my driving test.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I had a massive downward spiral at some point in there as well.
Absolutely.
Like, it was a heavy week.
That was funny. I remember that because the day after my schoolies, we'd obviously drank all the booze that night.
Except for one.
Yes,
I've still got
we've
it.
still kept that.
I've still got. I have one unopened Tui's new from 2013 that
Yeah.
is sitting in my garage and has been in a cupboard, a box, and another garage at 3 separate houses.
It's probably been through like 3 different stages of heat and cold.
Oh,
and,
mate.
Yeah,
Oh,
putrid. But we'll drink it one day.
One day.
But I remember that. So the day came and I had to do my driving tests
Yeah.
to get my P's. And I was having a little bit of trouble with my right eye.
Yeah.
It wasn't like blind, but it was just cloudy and it wasn't working too
Impaired.
good. And I don't know what happened, if I was like looking into a torch or like I don't know
Yeah.
what happened.
Probably
but it wasn't working.
Copious amounts of alcohol that we'd been
Yeah,
drinking.
and I felt pretty unhealthy.
we were pretty unhealthy.
So mum's like, "Come on, we got to go do your driving test." I was like, "Yeah, cool," you know. And I like got in the car and I'm driving to the transport department.
As you do, like the warm-up laps
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
And mum's like, "Why are you sitting so far to the right?"
Fuck's wrong with you?
So I'm driving like on the right hand side of the lane.
Yeah,
and
right.
the wheels are like hitting like this.
Big cat's eyes the whole way.
And I'm like, oh fuck. So what I worked out, I had my sunnies on. If I closed my right eye, I was perfect. So I thought, well, that's fine because the instructor sits on this
That
side of
side.
me.
He's not gonna see you
He's
winking
got
the
to
whole
see,
way.
as long as he sees this eye open,
Yeah.
and I'm 10 and 2, I've got this.
Laughing.
See, kids, harden up. So then
Life's hard. Get a helmet.
yeah, get drunk, do your driving test. So then I went, okay, well, I got there and I was like, okay, we'll get in the car, and I was like stressing. I was like, I've got to pass.
Oh
you know.
man, that's got to be like hands down one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of that age group.
Yeah.
Like there's high school exams. Depending on whether you give a shit about your grades or not, they can be stressful. They might not be.
Yeah.
Could coast through them.
But your driving test is your ticket to freedom.
That's it. It is literally the difference between you getting up and going a lot easier. I won't say at the drop of a hat, because a lot of times when you start driving, you're walking out the door and your parents are like, hey, where you going?
Yeah, you're
Who's
like-
going to be there? What time you coming back? But at
You
least
just make up some bullshit story.
you just tell them some gobbledygook and you're out the door and you're in the car and you're going.
Yeah, and
it's
you're
not
pumping
like you-
2-pack and you're happy.
Yeah, it's not like you're dragging your ass to the bus stop and
No.
sitting there waiting for
It's
45
that age
minutes.
where you go from like 14 to 18. It's
Yeah.
just like the
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah.
So anyway, I get in the car and he's like next to me and he's like, "Oh, how was schoolies?" I was like, "Yeah, it was good. We were pretty responsible driving along." And I can't fucking see shit out of this highway.
No.
And I'm like, it's kind of getting worse. I'm like, And he's like, the only thing I got wrong, which was partially because I didn't want to look at the gear stick, but I didn't want him to see that I had my eyes shut,
Yeah.
is I came off the highway and I went from 5th gear to 2nd.
Nice. Nice.
Out of ruin a Mazda 3 real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was it. I passed with flying colours. My
Yeah,
eyesight
nice.
came back, thankfully.
Trying to think what I got. I think my driving test only got nicked for 2 things. One of them, right, was not doing a hill start on what I'd barely describe as a hill.
Did you do the old, like, quickly grab the...
Oh, I did a bloody hill start like I got taught to by my father, who learned to drive before handbrake hill starts were a mandatory
Yeah,
thing.
you just use your clutch and
Because-
off you go.
Yeah, you just drive like a normal person.
But you know what sounds mental is that there are people who be listening to this that will have no idea what you're even talking about.
Dude, okay, so I seen this clip the other day, right? This is wild. It blew my mind, and it's just so fitting for the topic. They got this chick, I don't know, she's a streamer or American influencer of some sort or whatever, and they chucked her, they're doing a road trip and they were live streaming it, right? Put her in this car. And this girl has only ever driven a Tesla. I don't know if you've ever been in a Tesla.
I have.
Mate, they do like 3/4 of the driving for you.
Yeah, there's not much to 'em.
Not just with like the autopilot, but with the way they operate. Like you get in the car and you basically just chuck it in drive and it starts going. It
Yeah.
knows you're there. It knows, all the stuff that you need to think about. It does it for you. And they're watching this chick, right? And she's in an auto. And she first of all, how do I start this bastard? Gets it going, puts it in gear. And next thing you know, it's like foot's off the brake. And as you do in an automatic, the car starts to creep forward. And she's freaking out because the Teslas, they hold it until you go on the...
Yeah.
And watching...
hold.
Dude, watching this young girl who's only ever driven Teslas drive this it was like a 2010 auto something, like a Honda bloody Odyssey van or some shit like that. And she was just panicking, freaking out. And it's like, I'd think back to, some of our stories about our cars and
yeah,
shit. And
yeah.
it's like, I used to have a car that you'd put in gear and it would still move as much
Yeah,
left to right
yeah,
as when it
yeah.
was in neutral. It was like,
Exactly, the amount of action between it.
oh,
yeah, it's
man.
hectic.
And
But you know what's mental is you got to think so kids are now learning to drive in electric cars.
oh,
Now, my job, right? I'm in the automotive sector, so I
Yeah.
know what's on the market. I
Yeah.
know what's hot. I know
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
the current things are. You're giving a 16-year-old 700, 800, sometimes 900 newton meters of torque.
Yeah. Yep.
Instantaneously.
Yep.
Like that.
And it'll shift in less than a second.
No gears.
No.
Just go forward.
yeah.
That is mental. How do you police that? Because does it still fall under the power to weight ratio? That's something I generally
For
don't know.
B-play cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is with a lot of the electric vehicles is they are a lot heavier, so they can get away having more power.
Which is mental because there's cars out there that are like 3.2 seconds, 3.1 seconds.
like 0 to 100.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you can probably stroll in.
Mate,
and
my
just
Ford Laser never even got to 100.
barely.
You know, it took like 40 minutes. And you had to be going downhill and it had to be a cool night.
Remember that drive to Byron and we got the Mazda up to 160? It was like the whole front end was just like...
That's when the engine routes were fucked too, eh? They were just, and you're like, look at it go. And you're like,
this is great.
and I'm filming you like a spastic, like, get it to 160, you
Oh,
know?
man.
Yeah, I that kind of scares me because, like, I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, you
know-
should still, because you can still buy brand new cars at a
Do
Magic.
you know what it feels like? I feel like my parents. I feel old. Because when they used to sit there and go...
No shit.
When I was younger, I didn't have it. I used to have to walk 4Ks to a bus stop and then ride a horse 16
Mate, I'm telling
kilometres.
teenagers to harden up and I've got grey hairs in my beard. I'm literally fucking like 40. Like, what is going
I
on?
wasn't expecting to hit it this early.
I know, but you know what it is? It's not that. It's that how fast the world's
The
changing.
rest of it's gone, yeah. Because you got kids that are like 13 now that are carrying on like we were when we were
And I was
20.
having this conversation with my neighbour, and we haven't really touched anything too dark, but I'm going to touch on it just quickly.
What do we got on the clock?
We've got 36 minutes.
Oh,
We're
okay, we're good.
And I thought about this the other day, is you think about how fast the world is changing, and more so, obviously social media is a massive part of that.
Huge one.
But I want you to think about when you were younger, and your parents took you to the shops or somewhere where there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You weren't really exposed to a whole lot of sexual content.
No.
You know, you might be like 9 years old and you saw like the girl on the front of Woman's Weekly that was kind of hot,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, eh. Or the closest it got to being really red hot is you saw like
A sex scene in a movie or
your,
something.
your grandfather had like a
Oh,
porno buddy
pin-up girl or something.
in the garage, you know,
Yeah.
and you felt guilty
Out
looking
the
at
back
it. but-
shed.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
got one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that was about it.
Yeah.
You know, so your curiosity was always like, you know,
Yeah.
you didn't know what you liked. Like,
No.
you like
You didn't even know what it was.
You're like, oh, I like those, but then you saw like a really nice arse. You're like, that's
Oh,
pretty.
that's
rad
pretty
too,
red
you
hot
know?
too, yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So you're kind of still figuring it all out, man.
Yeah.
But now, man, you think about it, bro. You go to the shops now,
Oh,
man. It's
not
everywhere.
even a shop. Go to the beach.
But you don't even have to do that. You don't have to leave your home, bro.
Oh, it's all
if
everywhere.
you give that to the wrong person,
Yeah, man. It's all
they
over.
can find anything at any age. There's no age restrictions on.
Like, and the things that they post get around the age restrictions.
That's what I
somehow.
mean.
They
Yeah,
make
like
it
it's
through.
mental.
It's nuts. I couldn't imagine. Like, I remember, I feel like being young, and it was when you start watching like the MA-rated movies. Like,
Yeah,
you might be like
big change.
13, and it's like MA 15 plus, and you got, you know, mum's like, ah, don't worry about it. You'll like it. And you're like,
There's a
cool.
little bit of titty in there.
You see like, a nip slip
Yeah.
or a side boob, and you're like,
oh,
whoa.
yeah.
What is
yeah,
that?
Yeah, you
And-
didn't know what to think.
Bro, nowadays, you could make a fresh account and scroll like 10 scrolls with no algorithm logged to it, and it'll just be like, here's some chick's.
Here's tits, and here's a car that goes 0 to 100 in 1.8 seconds.
It's wild.
mental.
Man. And that,
Absolutely
and you're
mental.
right. Like, you know, the world is changing so quickly. Like
Well,
that.
you go back 10 years ago, to do this was very hard to do.
Very
It wasn't
expensive
done.
too.
The only real people that were doing it were like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was outcast as a lunatic.
And he was, exactly,
Yeah.
back then he was like, who the fuck's going to listen to podcasts?
Yeah,
right?
who's going to listen to it?
But you had to have your own equipment.
Yep.
You had to know all these people.
Yeah.
Mate, we just called Scott up like, hey,
Hey, we're going to come
we're
film
going
a
to come
thing.
down and film a thing.
He's
And
like, yeah, boys, no worries.
we're like, hey, can we do video? And then I fumble around on my phone for fucking 40 minutes and now it's on YouTube. It's mental how easy it is.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a big thing too. It comes with like a convenience thing. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things aren't improved to make them better.
Yeah.
They just improved to make it like convenient. But sometimes I don't necessarily know that that's like the best way to go about it. Like I feel like some things need to be hard
Yeah.
because if it's easy, you know, everyone starts doing it and it kind of takes the novelty out of certain things.
And like little things, like I remember being young and like, you know, like grade 8, grade 9 and like on Christmas holidays, like building like little cabins and
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, in like the back bloody wetlands or whatever. You'd go,
Yeah.
you'd ride your bike out to.
You
like,
go steal a whole bunch of fucking drywall and pallets from construction sites.
Jesus, what were you building?
Oh, I was
The-
building fortresses, bro.
Taj
Oh,
Mahal.
bro, massive one. Man, carpet in them. Fuck, yeah, dude. Dude, Luke Ridden, if you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, man. We had sites all over the place.
This is Bridge to Terabithia or something.
Man, big motherfuckers, huge, right? So we used to get these pellets, and we used to like,
Okay, I didn't go that far.
oh man, I stole everything. So we stole like all the tools, everything, right? Yeah, but we bring the tools back.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we'd go, but there'd be like 1,000 nails missing.
Yeah.
So we'd go like, I'd build like these crates together, these pallets, put them all together, and then we'd have like drywall inside. I'd have carpet laid out on the bottom, and then I'd make them 2-story, bro, with an internal staircase. And then we had this one, bro, and it was all like, we had a BMX track all around it, all through like it was all like near like the fire tracks.
Oh yeah.
And it was so cool, right? No phones,
Nah.
no technology, 1,000 nails in my hand.
But you know what it comes down to too? Imagination.
Yeah. And it was so cool. It was like a little hangout. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we got to have our own cubby house.
And it's like, I want to cut a hole for a window. And or you don't sit there and go, I can't do that. You go, how can I cut a hole for a window? And like, you grab any kid who's like, I want to say, 23 and younger, maybe even a little bit older than that.
Yeah.
And you just snatch that little bloody magic device out from in front of them and you go,
They don't know what to do,
hey,
man.
make something.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah.
Go out and have fun.
Occupy your own mind for like half an hour.
And you know what was really funny is that happened, right? We started building these cubby houses that were gaining reputation. These things are huge. You know, we had plumbing systems, bro. If it rained, we'd make the water run underneath the cubby house so that none of the floors would get wet. Hectic shit.
What?
Engineering, mate. Right? Then one night we had this great idea. We were like, you know what we're going to
Set it
do?
on fire.
No, that one got damaged by a whole bunch of bullies, but we rebuilt. We came back stronger.
Yeah.
We decided, fuck that. We moved to the different part of the forest.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a Minecraft server.
Yeah.
It's like someone just comes in, steals all your shit and
we
burns
decided to build it up. So I found these 2 big trees, right? And I thought, what if we just start building up? I'll build a big ladder
Yeah.
and we'll build a platform off that
it
part.
up on there.
So we're like 25 feet up on these trees as kids with shit that we've built, trying to put, like we're getting ropes, like pulling pallets up there
Wild, man.
to make floors.
Wild.
We had council come visit us one day. They're like, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And we're like, fuck you.
Already doing it? Try
And
something.
so we're like, okay, and we'd leave and like wait for them to go.
Yeah.
And then one time, we got caught nicking shit. So, because we used to go like on the weekends, we go to the skip bins. So it all started by going to the skip bins of houses that were getting built. We figured if it's in the bin already,
So you weren't stealing then, you were
No.
recycling.
yeah, kinda. So we take our majority of our resources from the skip bin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
But then one day I hit the mother load, and I said to my mate Luke, I went, look at that.
It's an unlocked tradies ute.
I know, the garage was open,
Oh,
and there's
Jesus.
all the sheets of plywood. And I went, that's fucking us, boys. And they're huge, massive pieces, like this big wall here.
Yeah,
Huge.
right.
And I said, I reckon what we do, we nick a whole bunch of them, and then we take them up, and then we've got wood to make ramps.
Yep.
And wood to
And
make
walls.
and walls. Well, like, it's a win-win. So here I am walking up this big fucking hill, right? And I'm walking. I've got like the wood on the top of a helmet. Luke's behind me carrying like carpet and tools and shit. Like we're like up on an adventure,
Oh, man.
And man, we walk for a while. Get to our little site. We're building it up. We're like, yes, we had nailed the shit into the fucking pallets. Security turns up, right? Like those neighborhood securities.
Yeah.
He's drilling us, man. He's like, what's your name? And we're like, fuck, man. Jesus. Like, we're like, no, like, just chill. Like, no, it's fine. And he's like, you can't be stealing that shit. Like, full losing his marbles. Somehow we got away with it. But yeah, that did put a slow down. And then what happened was, because we were building this cubby house on a vacant property. So
So that it wasn't vacant?
yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine it, right? There's a street full of houses. And then there's this one block of land that's
Just
got a cubby house.
Fucking
2-story cubby house.
Yeah.
With BMX jumps
bike
in there.
ramps and
Yeah.
shit are
And
going
then a
on
whole
everywhere.
bunch of kids hanging out on it.
Yeah. You know what it... like Little Rascals?
Yeah, but then what happened,
What do they
man?
have? The He-Man Woman Haters Club?
Because we couldn't keep an eye on the property, right? And we didn't have enough people or staff or security because we were 12. One day we came, like, I was at my mate Luke's place, and there's this guy who I presume is the property owner losing his mind,
Yeah.
ripping it to shreds because he thinks that a homeless man has built a shelter on his vacant property.
Oh, squatters.
Man, so we had to relocate again. We must have relocated about 6 times over a span of like a year.
Unreal.
And it was a lot of work. And it was
Unreal.
awesome. So that's what you're missing out on
Yeah.
as kids.
Getting yelled at by adults and doing it anyway.
Like not telling your mum you stepped on a nail. Like,
Yeah.
went straight through my foot. And I'm
What's
like,
tetanus?
Might need tetanus.
Yeah.
That was pretty that was pretty gnarly, you know. So it was a weird thing. I guess what I'm saying about that whole thing of the story is 10 years since we've left school,
Yeah.
but it feels like 30, even though
100%.
that I'm only 10 years older.
Yep. Yeah.
That's how that feels.
yeah, man. It's wild.
And I can only imagine how my parents feel.
Well, I think it kind of comes around full circle, doesn't it? Because, you know, as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, you got those wild stories that
Yeah.
you start telling your kids. And granted, if I do eventually have a kid, I'd like to one day. I'm sure they'd listen to this podcast and probably hear some of the stories, but there'll be a few that are reserved that, you know, don't make it to episodes and stuff, and they'll be the ones that get leaked every now and then at like
Yeah.
a family event or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it just like, are the future generation going to have those stories? Like, what are they going to say? Oh, I stayed up all night
Scrolling TikTok.
watching OnlyFans. Like,
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
What?
That's very true, actually. Like, the
Yeah.
actual life experience of it. And my neighbour, you know, I'll leave the podcast here. It was one last thing my neighbour said to me. And he said, like, he got off the whole... He's like, man, people get the shits that I, like, just don't answer my phone and stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, but when I put that down,
it's down.
I'm in reality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm actually in my own life.
Yeah, living.
Living.
Yeah.
And I went, fuck. And he's only a young kid. He's 21.
Yeah.
So there is hope.
There's some of them out there.
But it's just...
They're getting few and few, though, aren't they?
It
It's
is,
getting
yeah.
less and
They're like a
less.
dime and a dozen starting
Yeah.
to really find. But look, guys, we're going to end
Yep.
episode 3 there.
We've hit the quota.
We hit the quota. So we said that we are going to do 3 episodes before the end of the year.
Correct.
And we've done it in the span of just over a month. Month and a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it has actually.
Okay.
It has.
We were a little bit slow getting to this one, but we've both been a little bit busy.
Living our lives.
Living our lives. Exactly.
That's
right?
it. Doing adult
And-
things and paying for shit and doing shit and
Exactly. Now, guys, we're going to be on YouTube. Well, we are on YouTube, sorry. We're
Yeah.
on YouTube. We're on Spotify.
Yep.
And if you want to see all the shorts, all the funny bits, they're going to be on TikTok and Instagram. And yes, I do all the captioning for the shit. I'm not a fucking professional,
No.
but I have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
why not?
So next time...
And I do none of it. 'cause
No.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay. Now, next time we may be in a new setting.
We might have worked out a little bit of a different spot compared to where we
but
are.
still with the same...
Same fantastic people here at the recording room in Burleigh.
So,
by the way, you know,
we'll,
shameless plug right there.
Absolutely. We will keep you posted on the...
On the socials.
on the next one
Yep.
when it comes forward.
Yep.
And we hope to see you all there and
Cheers
Yeah.
for tuning in for this one.
yeah. See you later.
Catch us later.